the endowed transcendent destroyer, the glorious conqueror, the subduer from the Shakya clan, I prostrate, make offerings, and go for refuge. To the founder, the endowed transcendent destroyer, the one gone beyond the foe destroyer, the completely perfected, fully awakened being, perfect in knowledge and in good conduct, Sugata, knower of the world, supreme guide of human beings to be tamed, teacher of gods and human beings, to you, the completely and fully awakened one, the endowed transcendent destroyer, the glorious conqueror, the subduer from the Shakya clan, I prostrate, mock offerings, and go for refuge. When supreme amongst humans you were born on this earth, you paced out 7 strides, then said, I am supreme in this world. To you who are wise, then I prostrate. With pure bodies, formed supremely pure, wisdom ocean like a golden mountain, fame that blazes in the 3 worlds, winner of the best, Lord, to you I prostrate. With the supreme sign, space like spotless moon, color like gold, to you I prostrate. Thus free like you, the 3 worlds are not. Incomparably wise one, to you I prostrate. The Savior having great compassion, the Founder having all understanding, the field of merit with qualities like a vast ocean, to you, the one gone to thusness, I prostrate. The purity that frees one from attachment, the virtue that frees one from the lower realms, the one path, the sublime reality, to the dharma that pacifies, I prostrate. Those who are liberated and who also show the path to liberation, the holy field qualified with realizations, who are devoted to the moral precepts, to you, the sublime community intending virtue, I prostrate. Homage to the Supreme Buddha, homage to the Dharma refuge, homage to the great Sangha, to all 3 ever devout homage. To all worthy of respect, bowing with bodies as many as all realms, ashrams in all aspects, with supreme faith I pay homage. Do not commit any non-virtuous actions, perform only perfect virtuous actions, subdue your mind thoroughly. This is the teaching of the Buddha. A star, a visual aberration, a flame of a lamp, an illusion, a drop of dew or a bubble, a dream, a flash of lightning, a cloud. See conditioned things as such. Through these merits may sentient beings attain the rank of all-seeing, subdue the 4 falls, and be delivered from samsara's ocean, perturbed by the waves of birth, aging, sickness, and death. Page 15, Heart Sutra. I prostrate to the Arya Tripuja. Thus did I hear at one time, the Bhagavan was dwelling on Massive Vulture's mountain in Rajagriha, together with a great community of monks and a great community of bodhisattvas. At that time, the Bhagavan was absorbed in the concentration on the categories of phenomena called profound perfection. Also at that time, the Bodhisattva, Mahasattva, Arya, Avalokiteshvara looked upon the very practice of the profound perfection of wisdom and beheld those 5 aggregates also as empty of inherent nature. Then, through the power of the Buddha, the Venerable Shariputra said this to the Bodhisattva, Mahasattva, Arya, Avalokiteshvara. How should any son of the lineage train who wishes to practice the activity of the profound perfection of wisdom? He said that, and the Bodhisattva, Mahasattva, Arya, Avalokiteshvara said this to the Venerable Shariputra. Shariputra, any son of the lineage or daughter of the lineage who wishes to practice the activity of the profound perfection of wisdom should look upon it like this, correctly and repeatedly beholding those 5 aggregates also as empty of inherent nature. Form is empty, emptiness is form. Emptiness is not other than form. Form is also not other than emptiness. In the same way, feeling, discrimination, compositional factors, and consciousness are empty. Shariputra, likewise, all phenomena are emptiness, without characteristic, unproduced, unceased, stainless, not without stain, not deficient, not fulfilled. Shariputra, therefore, in emptiness, there is no form, no feeling, no discrimination, no compositional factors, no consciousness, no eye, no ear, no nose, no tongue, no body, no mind, no visual form, no sound, no odor, no taste, no object of touch, and no phenomenon. There is no eye element, and so on, up to and including no mind element, and no mental consciousness element. There is no ignorance, no extinction of ignorance, so on up to and including no aging and death, and no extinction of aging and death. Similarly, there is no suffering, origination, cessation, and path. There is no exalted wisdom, no attainment, and also no non-attainment. Shariputra, therefore, because there is no attainment, bodhisattvas rely on and dwell in the perfection of wisdom, the mind without obscuration and without fear. Having completely passed beyond error, they reach the endpoint of nirvana. All the Buddhas who dwell in the three times also manifestly, completely awaken to unsurpassable, perfect, complete enlightenment in reliance on the perfection of wisdom. Therefore, the mantra of the perfection of wisdom, the mantra of great knowledge, the unsurpassed mantra, the mantra equal to the unequaled, the mantra that thoroughly pacifies all suffering should be known as the truth, since it is not false. The mantra of the perfection of wisdom is declared, Tadyatha gate gate paragate parasam gate bodhi swaha. Shariputra, the Bodhisattva, Mahasattva, should train in the profound perfection of wisdom like that. Then the Bhagavan arose from that concentration and commended the Bodhisattva Arya Avalokiteshvara, saying, well said, son of the lineage. It is like that. It is like that. One should practice the profound perfection of wisdom just as they have indicated. Even the Tathagatas rejoice. The Bhagavan having thus spoken, the Venerable Sharadvati Putra, the Bodhisattva, Mahasattva, Arya, Avalokiteshvara, those surrounding in their entirety, along with the world of gods, humans, asuras, and gandharvas, were overjoyed and highly praised as spoken by the Bhagavan. Page 25, Mandala. Sashi Puki Jushi Metuk Tram Jija Blingshi Nide Genbadi Sange Shingdu Nide Uwagi Jokun Namdak Shingla Jupal Shu Jetsun Lama Dampa Kenam Ki Chogu Kala Kense Trizing Jitar Sampe Duche Zinmala Shake Chogi Charpa Bhaktu So Idam Guru Ratna Mandala Kamniriyataya. Over the page. Refuge and Bodhicitta. Sange Shodham Sogi Sonam La Chanchu Bandu Dagi Kapsuchi Dagi Chunim Kepe Sonam Gi Dola Panchir Sange Drupal Sho Sange Chodham Sogi Sonam La Chanchu Bandu Dagi Kapsuchi Dagi Chunin Gepe Sonam Gi Rola Pinchir Sange Drupal Sho Sange Chodham Sogi Sonam La Chanchu Bardu Dagi Kapsuchi Dagi Chunin Gepe Sonam Gi Rola Pinchir Sange Drupal Sho.
So this version they learned to but then the version that we do but then you will go just on the goes on to you so no yeah down the full long come to Jarwa down the Lam Rim yeah data no sanje chu ningu or chu ningu that in the chu di any nya de rani jigu with the actually my barwa rang kadin jiwe sededa yawane kyawa nega da tadu gi digi la ya ne tuya gi tunye ji semje thamje la ya ne ji kadin soya gi chedo ne nge chudi ningi yes tinde ji ne nyemba da samba da komba chi gi yes semje ne kunong de shenben ge semya woji geba che sho sirwa.
Yeah. Correcting our motivation for listening to the teaching on the Lam Rim, which is expressing the essence of what Shakyamuni Buddha taught. So in that way, one is going to listen not just for oneself, but for kind sentient beings, being kind to the parent, like the parents have been kind to one in this life, and those beings then, over a vast period of time, life after life, are the source of one's temporal and ultimate well-being. In that regard, we're going to hear, reflect, and meditate on this class. So join your mind with the mind of bodhicitta, the beneficial intention.
야, 다 가고 드링 하는지 양이야. 근데 저 자시 뭐지? 인기 총화디. 그거 상보레 이러다 상보 임바디 임바시나 아니 심나는 가와임 거로.
Rejoicing that again one today has the opportunity to hear such holy Dharma, one should recognize that opportunity as fortunate, and that is a cause to rejoice.
야, 다 단당 저 참디다. 아니 람지 남샤라기 와께 왔던 텔라님불린 주스다. 람지기 남샤. 람지 지당게 남바산제에 남. 아니 교충 교팅 교침보스다 람지. 네, 지 도당아 다시 다지 야치모 망보지 세계 여러 뒤에주 두용나. 네, 냠네 진예데 가산으로 미 미도 대전 숨나. 아니 두루고요. 레스 교충 냠네 진이 교팅 교침보 세제 대전 숨디나라야. 아니 두루고요. 레스와.
So if you have the text, page 39 at the top, we left off looking at how to take the essence of being human, generating certainty with regard to the overall or general presentation of the path and the actual way to take its essence. And when we talk about the capacities of practitioner, initial, medium, and vast, all of the sutras and tantras, all of the teaching essentially can be condensed into these three capacities of practitioner: initial, middling, and vast scope.
lam rim 직다 최 냠렌시야다 람림 나레 먼저 최 제시되네 심디다 심디 양타베 람지 그 규가 당고 여러와 단당은 저 심디 람 라과실로 도디고 여러와 디츠 규제 랑가라바스나 야보지 간을 도고 여러와 딘데 랑가디 대야게 당난들 람림스다 다 남바산제베 최 냠렌시년 델라가 지야요 말다 다라레다 델라하고 지야요 말에 다 데나랑 저 심디 좀시데나라 주야라 탑시 치고라 그래서 데 시발라 당보 지 좀시다고 차장지 유충 카레 유딩 카레 유침모 카레스지 과 과럽 잠지 심바체 이 신스나나 아니 신두데네마 제바 유충냠네 유딩냠네 유침모냠네 투모냠네 세제 마 젤르티셰 지 람다 닝불렌 중외지어봐 닝불렌 중외 되나네 마네 대시 제버 제고요. 다 단당한 저 좀시라고 직직다. 이 직수 교중 중등 첨부 숨나라. 람탐제 뉴도고요. 레스 송럽 좀 된데 이 송배 최 탐제기 인구 상만 되나 되나는 뉴도고요. 레스 다 대권에 교친된 춘송지권에 람티베 네 정칸인 바다는 르바다 트입에 금진시에 와서 제제 다 대전디나라 뉴도고도
So when we talk about practicing Dharma, the Lam Rim is that these practicing the sequential stages on the path to Buddhahood. One is setting out to cultivate a valid path consciousness, a valid mental consciousness, and Lam Rim is the means for that. So all of the Dharma taught by Buddha is nothing more than that. So one has to make oneself familiar with that method. And in order to do that, we have to be able to get an overview of, just kind of very broadly, I guess you'd say briefly, what does it mean to be initial scope, medium and vast scope capacity practitioners? And then latterly, we go into them in more detail and we actually look at how to take the essence of those three capacities and practice the path. But now we're just recognizing that everything in Shakyamuni Buddha's doctrine is condensed into those three. So then we have to know, what's the purpose of condensing the doctrine into these three stages and how we go about it.
다 기생어마 차르카제직 슈스 말이 교충의 교팅 교침보 네 나양가 다치 디케침보 쉐브레 데 람림 럽존 체인세제니 교충의 교팅 교침보 남샤마시나 아니 람림 럽존 쉐버데 다 고쳐요 말이라 그다음에 양가 도두 양가 도두직 단다 도두 시기 있으라
I've mentioned this many times. The capacities of practitioner, initial, medium, and vast. It's important because if one doesn't understand those three and their differences, one really can't get a handle on what is the Lam Rim, the sequential stages to Buddhahood. So because of its importance, I'll go again.
당연 송그 동에라 지시다네 겨치마 원도 하다미 고마타베 치두 아니 지 짐바타야 추름소야 소고야 라소바타 잠루치야라 소바타다 냠네치니 냠레 그림바들라 규충을 남지렘바당 대다 냠슬레니 간산들라 규충을 쓰네 얘기어레스와
So the practitioner who is wanting to prevent a rebirth in the lower migrations, these lower realms, and to that end takes refuge in the three rare sublime ones, engages in practicing the paramitas and so forth, the wish to give generosity and so forth, can be said to be a being of lesser scope.
다 겨치마 미당 다 하다 된다고 하고 미 겨울렘바이나 밀라야 동해전야레샤스와 미스니들다 녀그다다 동해다 마지오자냐레샤 동해들레 타와치고도 다 걸와디 내가 가와겨울에는 동해전야레샤 거와들레 타와치고도 근데게 네 거월레 타르베 타와 되는 얘기 간산 될래야 네지 남냠랭 림바들라 주 딩체 될래야 라와숨 아니 딘시기 냠네 제아도 진이 냠랭 림바들라 주 딩람 림바당 근데 냠네 진이 간산 될라 주 딩스 단예 지고 레스와
So next, the person who sees that merely being able to secure a birth of high status as a human or god in next life will not be sufficient. Let's leave the gods for the minute, but just looking at the human existences, there's still a lot of suffering there. And until one is liberated from the cycle of existence, suffering will be there, even if one is human. So therefore, one looks to get over cyclic existence and be liberated from it. And one goes about that by engaging in the three high training center or noble truths. So this is I guess the goal or the method of the middle capacity practitioner, and one who does so is conventionally called middle scope practitioner.
아드네 라니다 코와당에서 동엘레 타와 잠지 디그멘도 랑라 거딘지기 세대가 밤에저 심제도 저야 동엘레 네 타와 치고도 거딘지기 심제도 저 동엘레 타와 치고도 대체도 아니 동엘레 타와 치야가 탐라야셔데 다 산제지 고마 탐나 동엘레 타와 치도고도 메시신 탑신다 민도 여자 심제 신 탐제 동엘레 타와다 디기도 비하게 치도 산제 고마 타와 치기 인시 되게 탑자 산제 고마 손제 대체도 람냠링 rem바 지 chanju 셈다 닝제다 제조 파진 둘러서거든 냠린 친이 그래봐 근데 내가 냠린 친이를 봐 딘데게 냠린 그래봐들라 니 기부 준비 남지를 봐당 아니 딘데게 냠린 친이 간산들라 기부 첨보스지 어두스진 다 거든로데 딘데레스라
And then contemplating that it would be not sufficient just for oneself to be liberated from cyclic existence. That would be unkind, and thinking on other beings and their predicament and their awakening or their liberation and their Buddhahood, then one reflects further in order to bring others' awakening and liberation about. One needs to be a Buddha oneself. There's no other possibility. There's no other means really except for Buddhahood. So therefore, in order to free those beings from suffering and place them in ultimate well-being, oneself will attain to that state of Buddhahood. But in order to do that, one needs a valid path. Again, the path here is to generate great compassion, bodhicitta, train in the six perfections, also enter into the maturation vehicle of the Vajra, the Tantra maturation vehicle. So there, if one uses that means, that's the means of vast scope, and the person using that means or practicing it is called a vast capacity practitioner.
제산다 단다 람림 기갑수 아니 규침배 냠len 이바 칸실라 안 데나라 규팅다 규충의 냠len 수 두제 숭고여 다데 믹세지 차거라 단다 람림 간란다 도단데 오두시는 도요레와
What is unique to Lam Rim in its kind of setting forth and practice is that within that vast scope, you're also subsuming the middling and initial capacities, goals and practice as well. That's unique.
오야 당아저 되네마 베자지 도샤겐다 니월라 니스레 규숨지 람지권의 티베 퇴행카인바다 리모트다 티베 견제된 바스타 규숨지 권의 티베 퇴행카인 바사 되네마는 다다 델리도 테더라 규숨지 셰장스르와 지난 규숨 규충 규팅 규충부 셰레스르와 셰장 아니 규충부 람디 신이야 아니 라면 두그레스티 규충부 람나라야 규팅다 아니 규충의 람니디나는 두도레스 무다.
Yeah, so we've skipped now to page 40. What is the purpose of guiding someone by way of the paths of the three types? Although as explained in terms of the three beings, the path of the persons of great capacity contains within it the paths of the two other beings.
그래서 다들 대 티진지 남기 연라 임베스 르면 다양성 다들空隙个와 배나 아니 규딩다 규침부 남디 아니 규침부가 남디 연라르스 르면 다양성 샤스 아니 어디空隙个와
And that those two scopes, initial and medium, are branches of the vast scope. This source comes from Master Asvagosha, who says that these are two elements of the Mahayana path.
다 딜라야 디송도데 테나스르와 데 제르모진 송고레 딜 시베 대와점 탑자체와데 규충의 시베 대와시도 교와체 망원들 하다 미고마 턴드니니데 규충의 당스 코월레 타와잠 랑데 턴디 토바지 규팅 딘데 셰기월데 대잠직 마레스카 딜람 딘데 점 티고요 마레스 아니 교우 중고다 교우 딩 딩이다 서봐 투모의 람 가시 교우 쳔베 람라 티베 원도 체네 가시 원도 체로 교우 람 가시 원도 체 교우 쳔베 람 저베 연라드 네 체베 연스 가시 네 직베 람지 원도 체 가시 베나 연라 베나 데더보이나 아니 원도데 네 다 텐조에 텐진 치워미다와 잠도 네 레준데 라소와데다 원도 차게 여러와 네 연라데 다 타워 텐예 글로다 도조다 연라 니중다 찬주 니중게야도도 다 연라 차용 거로 동니 고미야도도 연라 차용 거로 어디시고다 기우 충무다 기우 딩도조 기우 쳔베 람지 연라다 원도라 네 송고레스데 기우 숨게 람게 뭐 튀고베데 마튼 치단데 시고로
Lama Song Kapa goes on to comment that, persons of small and medium, who make only happiness of existence their object of attainment, nor those of medium capacity who are making liberation their object of attainment, that in the sense of, or looking at from the perspective of the vast code, they can be seen as branches and preliminaries, because those are trained in by the way. So that is not the goal for the person of vast scope, but they are trained in as preliminaries. For example, the person of vast scope, when engaging in that vast scope, will train in a preliminary manner in taking things such as recognizing perfect human rebirth, the law of behavioral cause and effect, refuge in the three sublime ones, and then the branches are like the middle capacity when you cultivate the thought for liberation and you reflect on the lack of intrinsic nature, voidness, to get that means. So they can be seen as preliminaries and branches.
다 제가 배나 뒤에 곰 잡두 간대 자올라나 아니 정보 아니지 네 상담단지로 왔음제 담제 랑게 마치뉴 마신 진진 진소 영원 참바도서 상담단으로 준대 명화 뒤이름 바도서 마 상노시다 다디 딘데 땅 톰나니야 지 심제 수수 타고디에 심제도서 내가보다 다두기 디지두야라다 가리지 못시지 레스로와 레르와 땅으로도 상담단으로 말한저 타고디에 심제디게 기면은 먼저게 단다 최치야레 tunjinre, sayare, tungyare, 그래서 라그면도 하러와 갈래도 딘데게 강에 있나 먼저 최치에시다래 버반제르바 말한서 딘데가라 고고제 되고와 제가 먼저 가진을 때네 은 사야라고도 tun야라고도 공야라고도 최암저 퇴야라고도 좀존시야라고도 아니 타고지 얘가 미콘롤라니다 네 지금 툭된 요소라는데 요나 도절라 순한시에 데파 lö다는 네 전주 셈세데 베진 가고 차사로와 아니 예연라 미 강의 유니든데 토인데 데라 튠주만 셰비셰 데라 수수용원에 탑시 가르도로와 근데 뭐 스페마도나 심딩네 세워데니 콜라 르마단 셰데 계주모셰 딜르단사나 전주 셈다 지다 영화 그런 영화로 셈지 탐제라 매우 찾아와 대단 디인도 두조다 예연도 아직 녀거로 제 셈툭되니로 근데 강연이 있는데 요나 안 두조를 되네 아주 닝지게 서고 보면 근데 용원이다 두조까지 친구 임바 상담한 거야지 단냠네 된데네 고주 그래서 봐야지 samudandi gomjadi dusen taptana yagoyores.
So when one is approaching this broad overview, subsuming all of the scopes, one reflects on all living beings, how they've been one's kind parent, one kind's mother, and in that context, been kind to one, then the wish to repay it, and setting out to do so, and seeing how that you are close to them, loving affection, great compassion, and so forth, 6 causes and 1 effect. Or just observing those in your immediate vicinity that you interact with in this life, and recognizing how they are the source of your well-being, if not them, let alone not have the chance to practice Dharma, just basic things like food and sustenance we would not get without other living beings. So, and then we wouldn't get the chance to practice Dharma due to their kindness. We have food to eat, clothes to wear, and lastly, of course, can engage in Dharma practice. And then for those around you that make you irritated or angry, there is only the path of bodhicitta here without offering or, making a resolve, as it were, to give away one's body, wealth, and enjoyments to living beings. How would you, and not looking down on others, to not look down on them and to not get aversion toward them here, one has to begin to engage in the practice of the bodhisattva. So in this context, those that are close to you, the ones who give you trouble, they are the source upon which you cultivate compassion, upon which you cultivate patience. So they're kind in that regard. This is where it really starts.
제가 아니 두저까지 제도다까지 스라 페조 그 동에 요거든데 통연데 스스로 누워면 하고도 알아. 먼저 누워면도 신다파지 동행을 세시 깨지셔 che당지래 거부차로도.
Yeah.
신다파 샤시다 동행 심기 동행 세주 파샤니 민들려야지 깨지셔제 직심스 다야래 누워면 요래도 하더라.
Yeah.
아니 다시 셴변 제약에 누가 민도 왔으더라 봐. 그래. 그래서 매워들아 주고도. 다지 다대 누가지 고도서 봐. 아지 신 동에서야 누가지 동에도 요바든네 통고도. 동에서야 누가지 고도. 다 누가데 술라도 삼 당거려 봐. 아니 배샤가 세도 되어 봐. 배샤게 동에도 세도고 있는 배샤서가 신시하는 되고래 봐. 총잡. 비즈니스 정보든데 쭉 배샤 먹고 서치. 아니 배샤데제 동에서 세도 말에 셈게 동에 연결 많자 배샤연예도라 생고 동에 많아도 그러봐 배샤연예 많자라 삼다마신데 생고 동에 콘솔라 망아여래 아니 배샤게 동에 세도 매와데 생고 동에 세도 라트고 여래 아신다 바시네 제 연도 다좀에 고마를 토비니 세도고 여 말에 배저 감도 매바 신기여 말아 다 산제스나마 아니 동네 세도고도 비저게 되바요가디 시제 델바베 최지시 랍스시캡 아니 하버드 카르베 직 마레 루이남주레 아니 갱엠바레 튠겐엠바레 네당엠바레 칸데직 테베이네 산제사서는 심투게 요마라서 그 친자고 저버진 신자도 딘데지 고도스다 원에디 고도스다 세상 대 심지 신이 동에서야 제대로 산제 고마토 치고도 슬레나 아니 대고 준비 추ኛ면 차로
When one sees other beings going through sufferings, difficulties, and problems, can you help them? You reflect that sometimes, let alone even remove those beings from that suffering plight. You can't even talk to them about it, let alone remove it. You don't know what to say. Well, the first thing would be to recognize out of concern what they're going through. And then to question by which means, having seen the suffering they're going through, you could have the ability to remove it. If we have money, does that qualify us to help people with problems? And in fact, often those people with money have more mental problems. So then we conclude money cannot remove the mental problems people have. Problems that are mental have to be removed by mind. And even the arhats who have high attainments don't know the subtle dispositions of beings' minds. They cannot do it completely. Therefore, you reflect, only a Buddha can do that. Only a Buddha can really help others be free of their suffering by teaching them and so forth, such that even if a person approaches Buddha with negative body language, harsh speech, ill will, the Buddha does not get upset around that at all. So then you generate this almost automatic, or I guess spontaneous mind to wish to awaken, and that qualifies you as a great vehicle practitioner.
다 산지지 고만 터발라 아니 코방거래 타버터거래와 그래서 산지지 고만 터야지 원래 타버터고도 근데 아니 미유디 산지지 고만 터야지도 타버터고도 근데 주 등다 주 전부 두모 냠는 차로도
Yeah, now here to obtain to full awakening of Buddhahood, one needs to be liberated from cyclic existence. And here we see the common thread between middle and vast capacities.
다 중나 체딜라 타버터버지 그거래 남지 줄려제나 남지 줄려제잖아 남냐매 메시고 와
Yeah.
제자다 전주의 셈 끼는 냐매 여러고 연세한스 냠도 요래 람 줄려지 이중 직부 타버지 제잖아 아니 람디 균에다 냠냐냐매 메시다 람디 데 숨고 요래 다 이나 체딜라 람게 듬나 다 약쇼래 다데 제마도나네 당에 체딜라 제마도나 다 겨와 치마야 배전치고도 아니 타와터 없애게다 류된 겨와지는 밀류된들이로 단대 류된데 배자시 뭐래 다 단대 류된들 마도나는 게 겨와 치마데 양자 밀류된지 터버지 딜라 터버지긴 예선데 아니 겨와 치마 타와터 배치도 밀류된 터고도 대체도야 냠낸 체온도 아니 주 첨부 주딩 주충 투무에 남게 림바기 냠네 삼나단당 림바데레스와
Right. So then one contemplates, best case, this life you could be liberated from samsara with a valid path consciousness, because then it can't degenerate. Well, bodhicitta could degenerate, but if you get valid understanding of lack of intrinsic nature and renunciation, that can't. But anyway, if you don't cultivate that liberated state in this life, one can think, oh, well, I better set out to doing it in a future life. If you're going to cultivate such a striving for liberation in a future life, then the best support, the best basis upon which you do that is human. So then you think, can I get it again? Can I get another perfect human rebirth again? Then you strive to that, because then you know that if you get another one, future life, you've got the basis upon which you can be liberated from samsara. So therefore, then we start to see the thread or the connection between initial capacity, medium capacity, and vast capacity.
Oh yeah, that the 대고치미 람디 TV 다디 곰자당 그림바디 삼단당 림바인데 따지단 삼단당 림바다 면에 요래 그래서 삼로시단다 지레용 거래 삼마다나나 레야스케 말이야
Yeah.
삼로시단제 아니 또 딘데 삼단데로도 딘데 삼단데로도 시제네 다딜라야 람림이 샤르곰 시기요래 샤르곰으로
Now, of course, in terms of great vehicle, there are different approaches, but it is, there are a lot of different approaches and steps. But to have those steps in your mind, you have to do the work. You have to actually have an approach, because then you're thinking, oh, because of this, then this comes next. And then you've got what's called a shargom, or a glance view of the entire path, context, great vehicle.
어디지 다 딜라 최고의 균전들 니발니 균전고단 고바스치네 다 디제니 셰용고다라
Yeah. So now, having laid that those three capacities, then the actual reasons and the purpose, bottom of page 40, we are there.
다 균전고에 가래라윈데 티젠의 주베 고니스 티젠스에 담당하죠 다 티진 팀면 뭔고 시에서 티진 태과 첨보스 삼로 자첨보 다니래 라니 지구게 돈다성은 담아도 심지 탐제의 상당 티진 태과 첨보스 태과라야 돼 아니 동일래야 대학의 밥딕 탑람들라 태과서 거와
Yeah.
이 탑람 첨보스 라니 지구게 미직 지구게 동에 살로 탑을 많이 심지 탐제의 아니 동에서야 그 탑람 상담다윈자 태과 첨보스 야디 람라 주베 고스로 베나만조 캉바직 나라 야 주마주 고자로 아디 주고도 가레스나 찬주게 셈레스 찬주게 셈디 귤레 껴와당 근데 강산데 태고침 부트도 주로야 찬주게 셈 냠스나나 태고침 부트네 필요야 그다음 태고침 보기 냠렘바 람 귤레 뎀베 람 태고침다 먼저 태고침 람 냠렌지니다 태고침 뭐다 켜와요 말아서 다 전화도 하먹다 배는 알아오이나 대과침배람 냠린신이래 대과침보게 대과침보 차요 말 가서는 전주게 셈줄게 게요
Ah,
말아
no.
야 전화좀 랍투 말다 전화좀 시스템이 연ang 요 말 랍투 말아 알아 하고 울어
Now, looking at first the entry gate to the Mahayana, we have some subheadings here. So here, the concern once more is not just you, but all living beings, a vehicle by which tekpa, vehicle meaning to lift up, to lift them from a state of suffering to a state of not suffering and a state of well-being. And great, because it's not just you, it's all living beings. So, and it's the doorway or the entry gate to that, much as you would have a door to a building, is bodhicitta. And once you generate that in an uncontrived manner, you enter that Mahayana vehicle. If it degenerates, then you're no longer a great vehicle practitioner. So we can demarcate here between a practitioner of the great vehicle and actually entering into it. So in my case, I'd say I'm a practitioner of the great vehicle. I haven't actually entered into it yet because I don't have uncontrived bodhicitta, but I'm not sure about all of you, where you are. Yeah.
제가 청축스도 청축 창스도 가서는 란진지 매워서 그래. 다 장주쌤 귤레견 란진지 촌래야 그래요 말이야.
Yeah.
아니 대자마세 에너지 심진지 퇴연시 와라야 레로레야 당 아니 배진지 콘도사야 일단 뉴뉴뉴뉴 지난 장주쌤 계산에 콘도사야 요래로 가장 뉴뉴래다 배 뉴뉴 쇼지 찾아래 아니 경그릭이 파창다 창서와디 퇴 춥스의 연대로 현진지 연대 아니 직진바다 수련선 소공야 라수의 연대디야 주축 청축선 촉도에서 다 셈기난 게 촉도가 셈난 게 약쇼들에서 어디 청축선 청축선 청축 되게 된다 청축선 즉 된다 되게
Right, so now looking at this word changchup, in Tibetan, the bodhicitta, here the self-cherishing or self-interest mind is no more, it cannot be. Not only that, but in terms of when you're working for sentient beings, there's no laziness, there's no anger. Well, there might be anger, but it's very rare. In short, this twofold changchup, the first word is to clear away faults, and the second one is to actualize good qualities, meaning you're actualizing the perfections, generosity, the wish to give, patience, and so forth. And chok, chanchuki chok, chok meaning of all the minds you can generate, this is supreme.
이제 청주쇼도 셈께스가 셈께스 셈파 자죠 셈께스 수수 하나만서 수수 지구에도 그냥 상단되기도 와. 다 디마이 바체 다 신은 신기도 상단 셈파 자지에서 셈께스
And the notion of actually generating such a mind, it's called mind generation, is vast. Why? Because we're so concerned with just ourselves. But here, your total focus is other living beings.
뭐 딘데기 다 전주쌤 다 전주래 장도와 장주 샘제 균의 계지 코베 전라도에 냥단데 대신은 세제 저거 시스로와 장주 다 장주의 샘데 계지지기 계주나 아니 그러나야 네 코베 전라도에 냥단 남라 동해 세베 치두 대화도에 치두 산지 고만 토바 지기 삼베텐데 게 샘데 계직 직계베이나 아니 산제다 제주 샘바 탐제기 결랑 예외세 సిం 예세 차르스와 예외세 예 차르스 예세시 주고레스 다 대고 침배 남기 대고 침배 틀어야 추래 예세레스라
Yeah, Shantideva describes this in engaging in the bodhisattva behavior. The moment or when bodhicitta has arisen at once, the wretched bound in the prison of cyclic existence are to be called the children of those gone to bliss. So the moment that uncontrived mind of awakening is born, you are in then that lineage of the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, the Buddhas and their offspring.
다 시에송과 다서와 chanjuge semba chanju semba shiwe mingtomne tende la tegwa chimbu chugure sta chanjuge semde geji gyoena ne tegwa chimbu tere 다 dile nyamina tijine ma pap tijine ma 다 tijing tene ba piru yore esro
Yeah. For in accordance with this statement, a basis who has obtained the name of bodhisattva is admitted amongst Mahayana beings. If the bodhicitta deteriorates and they leave the midst, then they leave the midst of Mahayanas.
다 믹세 대나스도 제일 뭐신 양자 튼두 송용 거 중전인데 인자 티진의 죽도 반난기 스당랑도 태바첨보 죽 태바첨보 체된이나 아니 셈데 고드만에 chanjuge 셈데 네 개발라 배전적으로스
Yeah.
아디 개발라 원도 네 chanju생 편연도 상당으로서
Therefore, Lama Tsongkhapa goes on, we should put effort in generating such a mind of awakening, bodhicitta. But to do that, we need to know the benefits, the advantages of what?
근데 편연 상네 아니 편연라야 도슈게 와지 거라서 다데 연라 듬바로 차세워 줘왜 뭐 연라 듬디체 아니 잠도 제와 다 딘데게 아니 주두다 랍두다 준주다 딘데라야다 슝주즈나네 아니 내려와 준주나라 전주심배 편연시바도도 개주무시우주 송요 당보 준주나라도도 송용도 알아 제단 편연도도다
Right. So now, to recognize the benefits of the uncontrived mind of bodhicitta, this needs support, and it's going to be supported, for example, with the 7 limb practices, refuge, but also the way they are set forth in the compendium of trainings, particularly the benefits of bodhicitta in the chapter of Shantideva's engaging in the bodhisattva behavior.
다 편연 망보지는 편연스 두는 니리 편연 니어스 두는 편연 다 편연 할래 망고를 될래 편연 상모 두두든 아니 편연 내가 그 편연다 다두그 편연 시제 편연이는 두두 그랬어.
The benefits of such a mind of bodhicitta are extremely vast, but we could say there are temporal and ultimate benefits if we condense it.
다 될래야 당보 내가 그 편연데 chanjusim jewe 있는 ngendo jewe chima ngendo la tongo mares wa ta anganazo ngendo chezan pena de wa ngana mi samalo shigi yobade ha고 거라 아니 신이 가와 두고 예메데 상로시다나 하다 고그래다 베나 미다 튼두니 와데 제용도 알아 튼두 제용도 파도 제용도 낭바제도 아니 저 시민의 치루 제용도 직제용도 알아 튼두리 망부 제용도 그래서 가네 영어래 알아 내가 지 시심바지 양야 제용고 와데 셰고 알아 아주 미 시루고도 제용도 통고도 알아 나도 저를 김제 상는 무슨 통고도 미카제 시루고도 미카제 제용도 알아 다 좋아요 좋아 미시데 신이 밀레게 그러베 튼두데 신이 튼두레 제그러베 좋아들 봐다 좋아들 저리도 정도 다 삼로 당고를 좋아 당고를 스스로 와
Okay. So then, in context of not falling or going into a lower transmigration. We all know that we are going to die. Humans and animals both go through this process. We can see animals pass away, cats pass away, dogs and so forth. But then again, animals are born, puppies and kittens and so forth. You know, how they come to be, and then humans die and are born. So then one can ask oneself, does it necessitate that if you're human, you will again be human? Does it necessitate that if you're animal, you'll again be animal? You can ask.
다 데라 롱 벤데다 베 롱베 망고요래 다 튼두네 밀레께와 미네 튼두레 깨와 된데다 낭베 슈나라 망고요래 롱된데 로주된데 망고요래 와좀 된데 이제 제랍다 통답드나 따위나 셔버요래 다 된데 매우신 하나서 녀외도네 하고 해야 된데 딩상고에서 된데 요래다 빼나 미네 튼두레 깨와 미직신네 튼두레 깨와 된데 양 된데 먼저 다 로주 된데 담 거지 뭐에서 통화해야 된데 요래로
And then there are many scriptural supports to validate that animals can become humans and humans can be born as animals, even in the historical accounts of Shakyamuni Buddha himself. But anyway, better we recourse to our own experience, you know, how humans can become animals and so forth.
I saw the one story, truth story in China. One Tibetan Lama, he wrote his book, his research led by reincarnation. In China, and the one couple, husband passed away. I think husband was born in the pig. He was pig. And the wife has dream, you know, in the dream, the husband said, please help me, you know, I was pig now. I'm so dirty, lost suffering, please help me. Those clear dream she has. And she telling her in the dream, oh, how do I know you? There's so many pigs there, you know. And he said, red hand is human being hand, you know. And such monastery pig farm, I was there, please help me. And then she clearly remember this monastery, and she went this monastery a long way. And the monastery, the monk told, do you have pig farm? They said, yes. And do you have some pig, white pig, and the red hand is a human being hand? And they said, yes, we have one pig has a very strange, you know, that human being hand or red hand. Then they took her. And then she saw past pig recognized this lady and jumped upon and cried, you know. This is her husband's reincarnation, pig. There's a mini to do the
Yes, this is a clear sign that from being human, one can be born as an animal. No clearer sign than that.
다드네 둔둔에 밀을 깨워 여러베세 좋아 둔둔에 깨워라 둔둔에 밀을 수 깨워 여러베스는 다 낭베 슌네 야여래라 봐 야디 알라디 냠뇽지 유스라
Then can an animal be born as a human? Well, animal can be born as an animal, but can an animal be laterally born as a human? 100% from the perspective of Buddha Dharma, I have some experience in that.
Pastor here and the one lady from Holland, isn't it? Okay, Miss Holland, Miss Holland, Aggie, and she's asked me, you know, question. She said, impossible birth rebirth human being, and of course, you know, we did countless reincarnation. I believe there's Buddhism. I learned those. I 100% believe that. Yeah, I said, of course. And she said, now I got my right answer, you know. And she has one son, a son. And this son is a very strange behavior, you know. And then they heard some bird sound, and they no interesting, nothing, just listening bird sound. And eating in the cup very hard, and throw on the table and like this, you know. And very hard learning education in the school, very attention bird or birds, you know. And she believed his past life is birds. And then first she tried to ask a Christian priest, you know. They said, no, birds never coming. And then she said, this is not right for me. Then she went to India and Kerala, they went and asked some Hindu. And someone says, if you wanted this exactly your answer, you need to become Hindu. And she tried to become Hindu and tried to, and then asked the priest, monk,
yeah,
priest. And then they said, ask, you know, birds that become human being. Hindu said, no chance. And she said, no, this is not right. And she finally come to Buddhism, and we believe that. And she said, yeah, yes, my son looks like birds, you know. She believed that totally birds that become human being. I mean, she was in nursing. She's Miss Holland people. She was Miss Holland. And she has a very interesting topic. She said, oh, I was big famous. I have lost money. In any gatherings, I have 100 people come, you know. And now she is bring order lots ringos, and she said, very hard to come play my place, you know. I don't have no money, and no Miss Holland is gone, you know. and then she is very used to lots people, and later no many people coming in her place, and she has different suffering, you know. Interesting story, you know. This is I had this experience in birds become human being.
Yeah, except for not seeking or having interest. There are examples.
And then, you know, there was a very famous Lama Kenji Jime Penzo. And he, remember, his 400 lives reincarnation. And some's deer, some's tiger, some's dog. He said most his previous life, reincarnation was animal. And he might go back and remember this deer. And he has a feeling, a little bit light, body, a little bit light. And also, he remember he was tiger. Right? At that time, his body was a little bit heavy, and he is feeling. He go to this is a you know, nowadays someone they do color kashi dindel chana sim yadu ni kya ngama dur la ni sto di dinde marda di moshik to da di logares.
Oh, okay. There's a difference between, you know, when you go and see someone and they say, oh, you were this and this in a past life. But between that and someone who's totally clairaudient, there's a difference.
Kenji jime penzo ke de kya ngama thongba di moshik to thongba de.
Yeah, this Lama saw those previous lives through that city of clairvoyance.
Oh, di inju ta nge ka geje kharchi go la nang zo ngendo la chigi mine ngendo la chigi wa de ha ko gore ta ganda.
My point is that, you know, from being humans, we can go to more unfortunate migrations.
Ta ngendo la chena kale redo darwa.
Yeah.
Shuj kale redo samdan darwa.
Think about it. If one is born in a lower migration, it's quite difficult there.
Ani ta del chena da digmendo sirwa. Ani del chwe no ba chu do da chu go zu sa de wa ne zu go yarwa.
Yeah, and then thinking, well, to be born in that migration, probably not good. So then one seeks a kind of valid direction to be free from that, safe direction.
That samudana dam menda tablam dam menda yore jamdo chia yore gyawa chia yore mangmelam chia yore damar kapdir chanju sem gomya de ta shigala wala ya shenben gi che du ani ji sem ji ta nge shin du nge le tebe chi dinge lu longjo geza de che simje tanje da ti sonam tamje ne sanji goma to be gyula do gyuje san shenben gi sem chanju gi sem ta ngwe se yena ta she mo ro ji tende gi sem ji kwa je cha je 아니 시골로 된데 심지 여기나 심디독이 저와 지금 예전에 지금 말해라고 그러다
Yeah. So many methods then to prevent one going to a difficult or a lower migration. Refuge in the three rare sublime ones, creating merit, doing good things. But then, of course, there is generating a thought of concern for others, the bodhicitta. You concern for others' welfare, and to that end, one is going to dedicate one's body, wealth, and enjoyments to others, or to the goal of Buddhahood with others in mind. Not need to say that if that awakening heart of bodhicitta is unfabricated, you won't go to lower migration, but even thinking that, even contriving it, is powerful enough to prevent lower migration.
가르체니 천주기 심지네 녜송라 마지와 밀레 겨울에 가르체니 겨울은 거요레스 상당으로
Think about it. Why then, generating thoughts of concern for others would prevent a lower rebirth and, accomplish a human rebirth?
다 신변계 로디 개변한게 개와 슉 치슈드네 나 개와하러 개와 개발로 개발로도 숙진 뭐 쉐저래 다디 규래 개발이 다 딜라드는 드부 가려서 난 덴도 대화 연구한다 대화 연사디 네 밀류 된다 헬류 되네 로리도 그나네 대화디 연사면 밀류 된다 헬류 되나 로고요 데부디 미용 거 봐. 제가 좀전 딜라다네 렌데가 남샤가네 두고요 군데가 남샤가네 두고 레스트로
Because this mind, amongst all minds, is the virtuous, most virtuous of the virtuous. That if you can generate that mind of bodhicitta on a causal level, then it results in an upper realm, the well-being of an upper realm birth of a human or God. So that's basically the maturational result of the thought. And, that's just how cause and effect works. Moreover, that's how behavioral cause and effect works.
아니 지 잠도르와 시글라우도 잠도르로요네 덴돌라 지기요레 아니 직진바 서버 든드 띵인지 하고면서 근데 개별로 슈카레 요바지 왜나 되게 아니 저지마 덴돌라 지고 레스로
Well, other causes for good upper realm rebirths at death, if one takes refuge, if one thinks on the wish to give, generosity, patience, concentration, or meditating on the deity, these are all causes for fortunate rebirths.
다나 튼돌라 지와네 데 시글라발 가르잖아 안 튼돌라 지발랑을로 되자 콘도 마제 타도 댄심 아니 남다 어디 딘데게 심도 숙침보여나 아니 장마튼 따도 시글라보도 심디 여데 내가라 아니 닌돌라 지로 레스타
What then would be the cause for taking an animal realm birth at death? One's mind is strongly manifesting disturbing thought obscurations, strong desire, strong ill will, jealousy, competitiveness, lots of worry. These are all conditions to, yes.
어디인데 땅은저 된다 로장선 데려왔다 제가 전주기 샘주니 예선 지금 말해라디 줌젠단 템바와 줌젠단 템바 직바단 템바레 근데 자오르면지가 송구도 와 그래서 전주기 샘 범신디 시베이나 겨와치마 밀라 겨울랭게 응에 자저 약헬랭 것은 관서저 된데 송구도 와라 줌젠 데려다 줌젠 되진 송구
This is mind transformation, mind training, isn't it? In the bodhicitta, that you don't go to the lower migrations, there's a valid reason behind it. His Holiness, the Dalai Lama has stated again and again that if you meditate on bodhicitta at the time of death, 100% you will be human again.
that they lo jang wor dang zo sim ge dang lo jang je ba ne ke chi ju de 다 이제 타마디 시글라고 드려요.
That mind, to generate it, we have to train in that mind of bodhicitta. And then the greatest exam is when we die.
어디래요? 다 년도라 좀 말해 싫어. 년도. 아니 대장 년도기 주미동 왔다서. 아니 된돌 기그래서 와 년도라. 아니 셈디 깨내서다 전주기 셈 깨내 년도기 주로 가서 다데 전주기 셈 깨서는 나 년도를 깨워놔야기 랭인 버튼데 사샤이나 도조파 다로 그래서
Yeah.
아니 치 속벌라 윤세 다 양자 네 년도 깨워놔야기 윤데서 세도 그래서 안 dendoge juro ngasa wado zo ane simba che jajer phewa che dendoge ya ge judu zo ya ane khongbe do ya ane nga me ju me wa den ya ju sa ba cha ya 근데 dendoge pen do zo 내가 게 pen den do ga ro ane nga ran zo 다 저런 저 망고지 스트레스 냐상담 되기도 ane chanju sim stress me ba cha ro kore loneliness me ba cha ro kore depression me ba cha ro kore ane khande ya go do ba
So the benefits of generating that bodhicitta, of course, not going to the lower realms and then securing an upper realm rebirth. Not only that, but because of the momentum of generating such a mind of concern for others' welfare, the bodhicitta, a lot of non-virtue you would have accrued in past lives is vanquished. And latterly, a lot of good energy that you have generated in the past that also gathers momentum. It's almost like the new causes become new or become enhanced, let's say, and they increase. So these are like temporal benefits of generating such a bodhicitta. And then, you guys, we talk about stress, loneliness, depression. That can't even enter in the mind if you generate this bodhicitta, concern for others.
아니 다 다두게 연대인데 타바다 탐제지 봐. delade chanju게 셈이는 chanju게 셈께서 하나다 더서 배 delade 교고 쉽지 제도 그래. 배나 chanju게 셈지 규를 계산하는 chansun 사람 찾아래. 아니 정람 통람도 냠샤 튠지는 배 교고 투주 교고 쉽지 나라야. 아니 산제 줘야 된대. 그렇게 지식이요. 그래서
Yeah. And then the ultimate benefits of generating bodhicitta, that liberation and Buddhahood quickly follow. Because once you get the path of accumulation, then you traverse to the path of training or joining, and then the path of seeing that they can almost be gotten in one session.
뭐야, 나 신다. 저왜
Any questions?
저도야 online.
There is a question actually, Gishla. I think this is my mistake. So this is about the Wednesday presentations. Question number 5. How do we differentiate birth of higher status, form and formless realms, and their attainment from the other classes of the 6 migrators in the desire realm from a causal perspective? I think it should have been humans and gods. Gishla and Guntur ki dribble wadi. Joruk took nang lunyentu ki gulit in it then zombie jawi or what? The tiwchik to Yeah, gu. Yeah. So it should kind of read from amongst the 6 transmigrators on a causal level. How do the causes of a human result or human birth and a god result differ from the other migrators?
배다는 원도게 규디 수림 마다에는 수림체 원도 개화진라 아니 chudin namba tawa jinso pajin to melan tuma me samjawas yewa jin yusum dira
Yeah,
mel hala jewa ya de melam da tingin zin da to zerwa da
yeah. So if we look at it, the basic or common cause for the upper realm for the high status is ethics. But if you're looking at it in terms of perfect human rebirth, then it's not only ethics, but you also have to include the training in the 6 perfections and stainless prayers. But if you look at the causes for the gods, because
melam da tingin zin
yeah, their causes are prayers and concentration.
ta ngendo juda ta jwa de ja she dan kondo nga je mariwa to zure ta
Yeah. And then we know, of course, the causes for the lower realms are, desires, attachment, disturbing thought obscurations, ill will, jealous, pride.
oh dear
Yeah.
shinda to de
Any other questions? Again, please.
Can you please explain again how becoming a Buddha helps others in thinking?
Okay, gisa younger chiklabro. Then is sangi ke gopon yana.
Senju tyong de chi
Yeah. Send in pemba
kande chi o dira jaza danda de dirwa sanje chasuna na ani ngala zo timnan di ba chu mi du shin duwe du ni cha yi mi se la ni yi to wa shin la phe mi di chu ni demba dembe thwa wa yu stir da sanje chasuna na do sim jin ji du nge chu ma tu je du ya de ke yo ma res
Yeah.
ani lagwe ma de shak jo sur che je du nge se ya de ke yo ma res 야, 돈베 좀 내게 그 똑바된 건 주기를 주 포제 건 주 신도자들 봐 매우서로 텐데요 말이스. 다나 산제 그 두제 그 심지 그 된지나 그래서나 안 두제 컴다 매바도 바네. 니 추니 덴바 된제 동반이기 된남샤 된 람 양다고 된제 아니 람 된제다 도 심지라 아니 배 산제 공부로 도와치. 예스 어디래다 최대니 두제 된지들이 송어를.
Okay, essentially, becoming a Buddha, how one benefits beings is to show them the Dharma. As the stanza goes, the Buddha cannot wash away beings' non-virtues like like washing away with water. Neither can the Buddha remove suffering of beings as if you would perform an operation, nor can Buddha transfer the Buddha's insights to beings as if giving a gift. What the Buddha can do is show beings the path. So here, showing the path means to show beings the nature of reality, the lack of intrinsic nature, to show the excellent path.
예. 배나 아니 좀 된데 최순에 아니 뒤자수서 냠내셔버 때네 공안대 상볼라서고 아니 치치럽이 뒤자 gen루촌이라서 왔다 안데 내 별에 있는 라마 정가보다 지주멜라라보다 저저 산제스 저저 상모 산제 별로다 라마 망고 미망고 라마 지고 미망고 산제 심보로 이 가진 산제 좀 된데 이마 람된셔버데 냠내셔버 때네 아니 거든에서 동일에 제버처로 왔다 나가라서 제 상문다야 데데 신기도 강의로든데 태움도 도주 상마다 산지 최송배 가린로 와 누제네 또 뒤제 그 변치단 딘데 레스로 와
Not only that, Shakyamuni Buddha taught 5 close disciples.
진룩존이 고몰로도라
Okay. And then the 12, yeah, there were very many, but then there's this other class of 12, like Nagarjuna and so forth, that are obtained full awakening. And then we can look at Tibet, Lam Tsongkhapa Milarepa. A lot of practitioners in Tibet relied on the path or doctrine that Shakyamuni Buddha set forth, and then got over the lower realms and cyclic existence. And often when we're going through difficulties, that's what helps us too.
그래서 강의에도 여러 코디난 데디 삼단단 데스 단단 최제 디삼단단 이게 저런 동에 처럼마다야도 산지 최송발 되네. 그리로 산지 지고 말에 단다. 그래서는 람림이나 제르머진 진조리로
Yeah,
내가 단다 컨데 펜토고다로.
yeah. You know, sometimes we ourselves go through difficulties and problems, and then we think, oh, well, you know, cyclic existence that's just the nature of it. And by listening to Dharma, oftentimes it doesn't increase our problems, you know, at least that. And then, you know, we can think that Shakyamuni Buddha, but latterly with like Lama Tsongkhapa and the graduated stages, that's a means to do that.
뭐야, 맞죠?
Stop now. Sangye Shinde Minde Hawaii
The which granting with individual thought of every single in this world, for the incomparably kind taste and gesture and speech. May all the holy witnesses and spontaneous be fulfilled. Saviour of the snow then teaches and paints my nations. He makes the food clear the path of unification of infinity. For the legends of the teach together so I can teach. May all the holy witnesses and spontaneous be fulfilled. You draw all the spirits from away. The spirit is possible, bearable. Which they can preserve and spreading the denouncing of the doctrine. Then lastly, accomplishment and prayers on the guilds. Savior myself and others yours guides. Please, till we return. I rely on the true emanations of myself and others in the true Christ. May the teachings of the conqueror of Sangha relate for a long time. And that was like his prayer on the 15th. He listens to the children of betrayers like Charlotte and the great sons and father and sons along with the prophets. All the values of the so devotion to prayer and holding, spreading the wings, representing the ignorance.
Good night.